Snow whipped across Pearl Street as cars rushed past horns, blaring boots crunching on ice. Amid the chaos, a barefoot girl sat on the cold stone steps, clutching a pair of torn wool shoes. Her lips moved, whispering something no one could hear. Just feet away, a sleek black sedan screeched to a halt. A man in a wool coat stepped out, frozen mid-stride. He watched as a woman in fur aimed her phone at the child, live streaming her misery. The girl whispered again soft trembling words, and in that moment the man's eyes filled with tears. Something irreversible had begun. If you want to know what happens next, stay with me until the end of the video. And if you still believe deep in your heart that God is always watching over you silently, arranging everything then right now, leave a comment saying Amen below this video. Because who knows, at the very moment you write those words, a blessing may quietly enter your life. The December sun hung low over Pearl Street Mall, its light glinting off patches of melting snow. Shoppers hurried past, their breath misting in the frigid air. Christmas music floated faintly from a nearby cafe, yet the scene on the stone steps outside drew an uneasy contrast. A small girl, no more than 7, sat there barefoot, her knees drawn close to her chest. Her name was Nora Bennett. She clutched a pair of worn wool shoes, one torn, one frayed, as though they were something sacred. Her coat was too thin for the weather. Standing a few feet away in a glossy white coat and red lipstick, her step-aunt Monica held up her phone. "You want attention, Nora? Then sit right there until someone pities you," she said loudly enough for the crowd to hear. Her live stream was already rolling. Dozens of viewers sent hearts and comments that flickered across the screen. Monica smiled for the camera, speaking in her smooth, sugary tone. "She lies about abuse," she told her followers. "Let's see how long she lasts in the cold." A few passers-by slowed, frowning, then kept walking. No one wanted to interfere in something that looked like a social experiment. Nora whispered to herself, voice trembling, said the light never hurts. The words fogged into the air like a fading prayer. Her mother had died of heart failure last spring. The wool shoes were the last thing she had ever made for her daughter. Then amid the buzz of 1,000 indifferent footsteps, a man's voice broke through. No child deserves an audience for her pain. He stepped out from a parked car, a tall man with tired eyes and a wool coat dusted with snow. Dr. Adrian Cole, a neurosurgeon, just leaving a medical conference nearby. For a moment, he stood still, taking in the cruel absurdity before him. Then he knelt beside Nora, his tone gentle. "Let's get you something warm to drink, okay?" "Don't touch her!" Monica shouted, spinning her phone toward him. "She's my niece." The lens caught everything: the child, the doctor's coat, the glint of snow, and the moment froze, waiting for the storm that would soon follow. The next morning, the sky over Boulder was a dull, heavy grey. Snowflakes drifted like slow confetti as the city stirred to life. Inside a cramped townhouse, near the edge of Pearl Street, Nora Bennett sat by the window, tracing shapes in the fogged glass. Her little fingers were red from the cold. The heating had been turned off again. Monica said it was too expensive for just the two of us. On the coffee table lay a tablet showing Monica's live stream replay. Thousands of comments filled the screen, some scolding the woman for cruelty, others defending her social experiment. To Monica, it didn't matter which side people took. The numbers, the views, the engagement were what she worshipped. In the kitchen, Monica was filming another vlog, her voice bright and falsely warm. "We help people understand resilience," she said into the camera as she stirred a pot of instant soup. Off-screen, Nora sat silent, her hands clasped around the wool shoes. Those shoes were everything she had left of her mother. Her mother's hands had moved slowly, carefully, knitting through nights of hospital stays. The shoes were uneven, imperfect, but to Nora, they were as soft as love itself. Whenever fear crawled close, she would whisper her mother's words. "The light never hurts." After the funeral, Monica had shown up with flowers and crocodile tears. "I'll take care of her," she'd promised the court. The judge had nodded, unaware of the emptiness behind Monica's eyes. Now every day was a performance. Monica filmed charity meals, discipline lessons, and acts of kindness that were never kind. Nora became a prop, her tears edited into inspiration. "Don't look sad," Monica would hiss before pressing record. "You ruin the tone." That December day when the live stream in the cold began, it was supposed to be part of a holiday challenge, a video meant to show a child learning gratitude. Monica had told Nora that if she complained, the world would hate her, and Nora believed it, until Dr. Adrian Cole appeared. Since that afternoon, something inside Nora had shifted. She couldn't forget his eyes, steady kind, and without the usual rush to judge. For a moment, she had felt seen not for clicks or sympathy, but for being human. Later that evening, Monica had dragged her home furious that the live stream had been cut short. She paced the living room, phone in hand, scrolling through the comments. "You embarrassed me," she snapped. "Now I have to fix your mess." Nora stayed quiet, clutching her shoes tighter. She wanted to say he didn't hurt me, but the words froze behind her teeth. Upstairs, Monica's voice echoed through the thin walls as she took a call. "Yes," the doctor touched her. "Of course I got it on camera. You'll see how fast this goes viral." The tone of her laughter was something Nora would never forget. It was sharp, like glass breaking. In another part of town, Dr. Cole sat alone in his apartment. The storm outside mirrored the one in his head. He had done what any decent man would help a child, but the world had twisted it into something unrecognizable. His phone buzzed with messages from colleagues. "Adrian, you're all over social media. They're saying awful things. Be careful." He turned on the television, and there it was, his own face frozen mid-motion, blurred for sensitivity, framed by the headline, "Doctor touches minor girl in public. Shocking footage." He turned off the TV and sat in silence. In his mind replayed the soft tremor in Nora's voice, the small hands clutching the worn shoes. There had been no malice in that moment, only the instinct to protect. Outside, the wind howled through the cracks of the old window. He whispered to himself, half in disbelief, half in defiance, "No good deed survives the internet anymore." Meanwhile, in her small room, Nora lay awake under a thin blanket staring at the ceiling. She thought of the doctor's coat wrapped around her shoulders, the first warmth she had felt in weeks. She didn't understand why kindness could make people angry. In the faint light, she reached for the wool shoes and pressed them to her chest. "The light never hurts," she murmured again, but the world outside her window seemed colder than ever. By sunrise the next morning, the snow over Pearl Street had turned to slush grey and heavy, but the storm brewing online was colder, sharper, and far less forgiving. Within hours, the video Monica posted had racked up 500,000 views. Its title screamed in bold letters, "Doctor touches minor girl in public," caught on camera clips, and comments multiplied like wildfire. By mid-morning, the hashtag #CreepyDoctor was trending nationwide. Strangers demanded his arrest, bloggers dissected his gestures, frame by frame, and anonymous users uploaded doctored screenshots to make the moment look darker than it was. Dr. Adrian Cole sat in his office at Boulder Medical Center, staring blankly at his computer screen. His inbox was overflowing with subject lines like urgent HR meeting, ethics violation notice, and statements required. He hadn't slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the frightened girl on the steps, the blue of her lips, the way she clung to those frayed shoes. He knew what he had done was right, yet the world had decided otherwise. At 10:30, the hospital's legal officer Douglas Pike entered his office. He was a heavy man with polished shoes and the kind of calm that comes from power. Dr. Cole. He began smoothly. Until we complete an internal investigation, we'll have to place you on temporary suspension. You understand how this works? It's just protocol. Adrian looked up, disbelief flickering in his eyes. Protocol for compassion. Douglas didn't flinch. For optics, he said simply. We can't afford the wrong kind of attention. When Adrian left the building, reporters were already waiting. Microphones and flashing lights chased him down the steps. Did you touch the girl inappropriately? Are you hiding something, doctor? How long have you known her? He said nothing. He couldn't. Every word would only feed the machine. Across town in the small townhouse, Monica was celebrating her new followers. She sipped coffee from a gold mug, smiling at the surge of donations from sympathetic viewers. She's safe now, she said into her phone, her voice syrupy, sweet. I'm just trying to protect her from men like him. In the background, Nora sat on the couch, staring at the television. The news anchor repeated Monica's words, almost verbatim. Sources confirm the child's guardian is cooperating with authorities. The screen showed the blurred image of Dr. Cole's face, eyes downcast, coat flapping in the wind. Nora's stomach twisted. She remembered the warmth of that same coat around her shoulders, the gentle tone in his voice when he'd said, "Let's get you some warm milk." Why are they saying that? She whispered. But Monica's laughter drowned her out. Later that night, Monica was on another live stream, answering questions from followers. Yes, the police called. She lied smoothly. They said it's under investigation. Pray for Nora's healing. When the comments section exploded with support, Monica winked at the camera. The truth always comes to light, she said, savouring the irony. In the dark corner of the room, Nora held her shoes and tried not to cry. For the first time, she realized that grown-ups could lie and the world would believe them. Meanwhile, Adrian's apartment felt like a quarantine zone. The phone kept buzzing his mother, old classmates, journalists. He muted everything. Outside, snow fell again, quiet and relentless, as though trying to bury the noise of the internet. He turned on his laptop and opened a blank document. At the top, he typed, "Statement regarding recent allegations." But the words wouldn't come. Every sentence sounded defensive, desperate. How do you explain that kindness had no agenda? Around midnight, his old colleague, Clara called. "Adrian," she said softly, "don't speak to the press. Just wait. I'll help you. You'll get dragged into it," he warned. "I already am," she replied. "Someone has to stop this madness." There was a long pause before Adrian whispered, "She's just a child, Clara. She doesn't deserve this." On the other end of the line, Clara's voice trembled. "Neither do you." As the call ended, Adrian leaned back in his chair. The city outside was asleep, blanketed in silence, yet he could almost hear the echo of thousands of strangers judging him. Somewhere in that same silence, Nora was awake too. She had turned the tablet away so she wouldn't have to see the comments. But curiosity was a cruel thing. She tapped one more time. The top comment read, "He probably bribed the kid to stay quiet." Her throat tightened. She wanted to scream that it wasn't true, that he'd only helped, but she didn't know where to scream. The world beyond the screen felt too far away. She whispered again to the shoes in her hands, "The light never hurts." And in that lonely sentence, a promise was born, the quiet hope that one day someone would see the truth shining through the snow. 3 days had passed since the video went viral. Outside Boulder's winter had turned unforgiving streets slick with ice trees, stiff and white. Inside her small apartment, Clara Jensen sat surrounded by paperwork, her phone pressed between shoulder and ear. "Yes, I understand the risk," she said quietly. "But someone needs to look at the hospital's communication records." The suspension happened too fast. Her contact on the other end, a nurse from HR, hesitated. "Clara, this is bigger than just a PR mess. Someone on the board pushed for it. Pike's name keeps showing up in the email chain. Douglas Pike, the same man who had smiled too easily at the press conference promising transparency while burying the truth beneath legal phrases." Clara's jaw tightened. She opened her laptop and started digging through internal memos, searching for inconsistencies. One document caught her eye, a reimbursement request from a media partnership linked to Streamloop, the same platform where Monica's video first gained traction. The payment had been processed just 2 days before the livestream incident. Her heart thudded. This wasn't coincidence. Meanwhile, across town, Dr. Adrian Cole sat in a small diner, a cup of black coffee cooling untouched before him. The waitress, a middle-aged woman with tired eyes, recognized him from the news. She hesitated before setting down the sugar jar. "You don't look like the man they're saying you are," she said softly. Adrian smiled faintly. "Maybe that's because I'm not." It was the first kind word he'd heard in days. His phone buzzed. It was Clara. "Adrian, I think I found something. Streamloop paid Monica through a third-party ad agency. I'm heading to see a lawyer friend, Reese Patel. Don't lose hope yet." Hope. The word felt fragile, like something that could melt if he held it too tightly. That evening, in her cluttered kitchen, Clara met Reese Patel, a sharp-eyed attorney known for defending victims of online smear campaigns. She spread out printouts across the table, emails, payment records, timestamps. Reese leaned over the papers. "If this is accurate, it means she was incentivized to stage the drama. We'll need proof she manipulated the footage." Clara nodded. "There's more. I think the girl recorded something. I saw her clutching an old phone that day, one of those with a cracked screen. If Monica didn't find it..." Reese's eyes lit up. Then that phone might still hold her voice. At that same hour, Nora Bennett was sitting on her bed, the lights off the wall shoes tucked under her chin. Monica was downstairs doing another live stream, this time titled "Healing After Betrayal." The words spilled from Monica's mouth like poison wrapped in honey. "We forgive, but we never forget," she told her viewers, painting herself as a savior once again. Nora's small fingers fumbled with the cracked phone hidden beneath her pillow. The screen was dim, battery nearly dead. She didn't understand much about the grown-up world, but she knew this device held the truth. She had pressed record that day right before Monica shouted at her to sit still. She scrolled to the file labeled simply "Mom's Light." The title was her little secret. When she pressed play, her own frightened voice filled the silence, followed by Monica's sharp whisper. "If you cry, I'll tell the world he touched you." Nora froze. The memory hit her like ice. She clutched the phone tighter. For a moment she thought about deleting it. What if Monica found out? But deep down, she heard her mother's voice again. The light never hurts. The next morning, Clara drove to the townhouse. She parked 2 blocks away, watching from her car as Monica filmed another charity video on the front porch. When the camera turned off, Clara approached. "Mrs. Crowley, I'm a nurse from the hospital," she said, forcing a polite smile. "I wanted to check on Nora." Monica's eyes narrowed. "She's fine. We don't need visitors." "I just thought maybe she'd like a toy from the hospital gift drive," Clara said, holding out a small stuffed bear. After a long pause, Monica shrugged. "Fine. Make it quick." Inside, the air smelled of perfume and stale coffee. Nora peeked from the hallway, eyes wide. Clara knelt down, whispering softly, "It's okay, sweetheart. I just wanted to see how you're doing." Nora hesitated, then slipped something into Clara's pocket, a small phone wrapped in tissue. Their eyes met for a heartbeat of trust. By the time Clara returned to her car, her hands were shaking. She turned on the phone, praying it still worked. When she played the file, Monica's voice hissed through the speaker. "If you cry, I'll tell the world he touched you." Clara gasped. Proof. Finally proof. That night, she and Reese met again, playing the recording, over and over, confirming its authenticity. This Reese said, "Eyes blazing is our first ray of light." And across the city, in his quiet apartment, Adrian sat by the window watching snow fall in slow motion. His phone buzzed once more, a message from Clara. "Found something. The truth is coming." He didn't reply right away. Instead, he closed his eyes and breathed deeply. For the first time in weeks, the air didn't feel so cold. Somewhere out there, the little girl he'd tried to protect had spoken for him in the only way she could. The storm hadn't passed, but finally he could see the first glimmer of dawn. When lies feel cornered, they don't fade, they fight. Just 2 days after the recording surfaced, Monica launched her Counterattack. The new campaign spread across Streamloop like a wildfire, how to protect the children. Thousands of anonymous accounts flooded social media claiming to be concerned parents demanding Dr. Adrian Cole's permanent removal from medicine. Her new video began with slow piano music and Nora's blurred photo. Monica's voice quivered, perfectly rehearsed. "I never wanted fame," she said tearfully. "I only wanted to keep my niece safe from monsters hiding behind kind faces." Within hours, the video reached 1 million views. Sponsorship offers poured in. TV producers wanted interviews. Monica accepted them all, smiling through false grief, wrapping herself in the role of America's brave aunt. At the same time, Dr. Cole's world grew smaller. He couldn't walk down the street without whispers following him. His neighbors stopped making eye contact. The medical board postponed his hearing indefinitely, citing ongoing public pressure. Clara tried to reassure him. "We have the recording, Adrian." "Once it's verified in court," he interrupted, voice tired. "They don't care about truth, Clara. They care about stories." He wasn't wrong. The internet wasn't built for patience. It was built for outrage. Across town, a woman named Leah Ortiz was sitting in her small office surrounded by stacks of hard drives and coffee cups. She was an independent investigative journalist, the kind who'd burned every bridge with big networks for the sake of honesty. When the doctor scandal first hit, she had dismissed it as another internet circus. But now, something about it didn't add up. She replayed Monica's original live stream side by side with the viral clip. The timestamps didn't match. The lighting in one frame was slightly off sunlight from the wrong angle. She frowned, running metadata scans. Her software confirmed that the video's timestamp had been manually altered. And worse, the file's origin ID pointed to a professional editing suite used by content creators under Streamloop's partner program. Leah leaned back in her chair, whispering to herself, This isn't just a lie, it's a production. Meanwhile, Clara and Reese prepared their legal case. The recording of Monica's threat was strong evidence, but they needed more to prove systemic manipulation. If Leah can verify the video was edited, Reese said we can link Monica directly to Streamloop's profit scheme. That night, Leah reached out. Her message was short. I think you've been played by something much bigger than one cruel woman. Meet me tomorrow. The next morning, in a quiet cafe near the courthouse, Leah spread her laptop across the table. Adrian sat opposite to her, silent but attentive, his expression calm in that worn-out way of people who have already lost too much. She showed them graphs, metadata breakdowns, and emails leaked from Streamloop's internal system. Monica's account was flagged as a premium partner, Leah explained. They paid her for high engagement content, especially emotional moments. They even coached her on framing. Reese looked stunned. So the outrage was engineered. Exactly. Manufactured empathy sells. The internet loves villains, and Yuda to Cole became theirs. Adrian exhaled slowly, rubbing the bridge of his nose. So how do we undo a lie that millions have already believed? Leah gave a small smile. You don't. You outshine it. I'm publishing this story tonight with every file, every timestamp, every name. Reese hesitated. They'll come after you, Leah. She shrugged. They already are. But truth has to live somewhere. By evening, her exposé went live under the headline, The Manufactured Outrage, How Streamloop Built a Lie Around a Child. It spread like lightning. People re-watched Monica's videos with new eyes. Comment sections turned from praise to fury. Brands withdrew their sponsorships. The hashtag hack apologized to .do. Cole started trending. In her townhouse, Monica stared at her phone in disbelief as view counts dropped and hate comments replaced hearts. No, 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 she muttered, refreshing the page over and over. For the first time, the camera light on her phone wasn't her friend. It was an interrogation lamp. At the same moment, Adrian sat by his window, watching snow fall under the streetlights. His phone buzzed again and again, messages from strangers. This time, I'm sorry. We were wrong. Thank you for helping that girl. He didn't answer any of them. Instead, he whispered softly to himself. Maybe stories can heal too. And somewhere in her small room, Nora smiled for the first time in weeks. She didn't know everything that had happened, only that the shouting on the TV had stopped. Downstairs, Monica slammed a door. Upstairs, a little girl looked out at the falling snow and thought, the light never hurts. 2 months later, Boulder was blanketed in white again. Snow covered the courthouse steps, softening the edges of a city that had once felt so harsh. Inside, the air buzzed with anticipation. Cameras lined the back wall. Reporters whispered, waiting for the story's final act. At the front of the courtroom sat Monica, her once glamorous appearance replaced by exhaustion. The mask of the heartbroken aunt had cracked. Across from her, Dr. Adrian Cole sat quietly beside his lawyer, his hands folded, gaze steady. When the judge called for the evidence, Reese Patel stood and nodded to the technician. The lights dimmed. On the screen appeared the full, unedited footage from Pearl Street Mall, every second captured by a nearby bookstore's CCTV. The video showed the truth in its simplest form, Adrian kneeling gently, draping his coat over Nora's shoulders, calling for help. Behind them, Monica's phone gleamed in the winter sun as she smiled for the camera. Gasps filled the room. Then came the recording, Monica's voice sharp and unmistakable. If you cry, I'll tell the world. he touched you. The courtroom fell into a silence so deep that even the hum of the heater seemed to pause. When it was Nora's turn to speak, she climbed onto the witness stand, her wool shoes swinging just above the floor. The judge leaned forward kindly. "Sweetheart, did Dr. Cole ever make you feel unsafe?" Nora's small voice wavered, but her eyes were sure. "No, sir, only safe." For a long second, no one moved. Then the entire courtroom stood and clapped soft at first, then swelling like a tide. Adrian lowered his head, overwhelmed. The verdict was swift. Monica Crowley, guilty on all charges: defamation, child endangerment, and obstruction of justice. Streamloop issued a public apology, its executives under investigation. Weeks later, Pearl Street Mall looked different. The same winter sun now felt warmer, gentler. Outside a small cafe, Adrian Cole sat with Nora Bennett, watching her laugh as she built a tiny snowman. She wore new boots, but the old wool shoes hung in the window, above them framed like a keepsake. "They don't hurt anymore," Nora said, smiling. Adrian looked down at her. "That's because they've walked home." On the cafe table lay a folded newspaper. The headline read, "Doctor cleared of charges. Kindness wins." As they left the cafe, Nora slipped her hand into his. The snow fell softly, wrapping the world in quiet forgiveness. In the distance, church bells rang for the evening mass, and as they walked down on Pearl Street, light reflecting off the snow, Nora whispered the words her mother had once told her: "The light never hurts." And this time it was true. Today's story comes to an end, but its echo still lingers in the heart. What do you think? Give us a score from 1 to 10 and feel free to share a few words in the comments. Every voice here is valued and heard. Before you go, let me ask you gently, are you doing okay today? If your heart feels heavy, let this place be a quiet corner where you can share and find comfort. See you again in the next bedtime story, where love and hope remind us that no matter how dark the night may seem, kindness will always prevail.